Hello, I'm Lew The Raccoon, and today we're going to be looking at some furry convention horror stories. Tacky. What if the fursuit lounge was hotter than the rest of the con? That'd be a horror, and it's happened to me. Picture this. You're walking around for hours in fursuit and you just want to sit down, have a nice cold drink and some air blowing at you. You know, just chill out. It's every fursuiter's dream at a con, especially in like summer or a warm Easter period. And this happened to me. Went in the fursuit lounge and I thought, well, hang on, wasn't it cooler in the hallway? There's like maybe one or two fans. One of them had been turned off. I'm not sure about that. There wasn't much water, and there was no easy way of me getting to the water either, because there was no cups. But it was just absolutely boiling in there, and I remember melting. I kind of took my head off and thought, you know what, I'm better off going back out into the corridor. There was aircon in there. I mean, I was granted, I appreciate that fursuit lounges, the fans chuck out their own amount of heat, because that's how these things work, but I don't know, I just kind of expected maybe the fursuit lounge to be a little bit cooler than it was, and that was probably an absolute hell. Thankfully, it's not happened to me since, but boy, a hot fursuit lounge, that is a nightmare. We all know that there's nothing worse than needing a toilet while you're in a fursuit. Now, if you're at the convention, that's fine, because you can probably rush up to your room, de-suit, and go use the toilet. It's not a problem. If you're a partial suiter, you don't really have this problem at all, because that's one of the joys of partials, actually. But yeah, so this was a Just for the Weekend in 2017. Is they have something different at their con. They go for like a walk in Bristol, the nearby city, instead of just walking around the hotel, which is cool. It's different, and it's nice to kind of get an interaction with the public too. And yeah, they looked after us in the coach. They were giving us like pretzel snacks and lots of bottles of water, which is great. But obviously, giving people lots of bottles of water, you know what's going to happen if you have too much water. Yeah, so there we were, halfway around Bristol, walking through, and it was like, oh no, I really need to go to the loo right now. And yeah, it starts off, it's a little uncomfortable, so you kind of start walking a bit differently. And then it just obviously kept getting worse, because I'd drunk maybe 2-3 bottles of water on the coach by this point, so hydrated. And it was so painful. Fortunately, eventually some of the staff kind of cottoned on that I wasn't the only one who really needed a loo, and they kind of took a few of us along a faster route to the nearest public toilets where, we all kind of shoveled in and desperately unsuited and tried to use public toilets in fursuits. So, yeah, it was fun, but as far as horror stories go, yeah, needing the toilet in a fursuit in the middle of a public place when you're not in the hotel, yeah, it'd still be bad, I think, even if you're doing the fursuit parade. It's important, I think, to know some of the limitations of maybe not just you fursuiting, but your actual fursuit. And my next horror story is from Confuzzled in 2017 as well. It was really awesome. They got some FUNFAIR rides in, which just, yeah, I love it. It's one of the things I really liked about Confuzzled in 2017, and again in 2018 when they brought them back. But obviously, I was quite new to fursuiting. My fursuit was still quite new. It was my older suit. And yeah, they had this ride. I don't know what they're quite called. They're like twister spinny things, and they kind of spin round while you go round the central bit. The G-force is actually quite harsh on these. Yeah, it was not a good experience, because obviously these rides have a lot of force. There was me sitting in the corner, and obviously there was Theo, and he was just crushing into me, and I could sort of start to feel my jaw and ears kind of starting to kind of feel the impact of the force, and I was a bit worried that my fursuit was actually starting to fall apart, and I spent the entire ride absolutely petrified. Not on the ride, but obviously my fursuit falling apart, and it was a horrible experience. One I would never do again. I was absolutely paranoid that I'd break my fursuit, and, the rest of the con I'd have no suit. So, you've been out to a fursuit dance, you just want to kind of get into your bedroom and just flop. It's been a long day of suiting. What could you say? Oh, you get back to your room, tap your key card, nothing. The little red light comes on. I'm like, oh no. And obviously this is 3 a.m, it's not during the day, so the reception are running more of a limited staff, so we head back down there, and there's a queue. And there you are, 3 a.m, you are knackered, you're falling asleep. You've taken your head off at this point. You don't care about ruining the magic or anything else. Obviously, you're still burning up inside because the head's not necessarily the hottest bit of your fursuit. And yeah, so you queue and you queue, and then they get your card, and it's like, do you have any ID? I'm dressed as a raccoon. Do I have any ID? No, I don't carry my wallet when fursuiting. I just about have a little pouch that I bring my keycard in. And sometimes my phone, although not in this case. So yeah, there we are, 3 a.m, and I'm having a full-blown conversation with the staff of the Hilton about my keycard, my room not working, and eventually they seem to be convinced on the story that, yeah, it had stopped working, that I was who I said I was. And yeah, they do reissue it. Sitting there, was having a little bit of a room party, just having a few drinks, getting ready to go to the dance in a little bit. I don't drink that much, to be honest with you, and when I do, it's normally a special occasion, like at a con, and it was just getting me buzzed, so I was getting a bit silly, having a bit of fun, a bit of laugh, and then full evacuation alarm. Everyone has to leave their rooms, and this is about 11 o'clock at night, so it's not necessarily late at con, but it's late enough to impact the rest of the evening still. And we all traipsed out to the car park. You've got some people in like dressing gowns, half in half fursuits. So you got people doing absolutely everything. It's just paused everything at the con, and you know, we just all stood there, and eventually I was able to go back in, but I won't lie, it did kind of detract from the rest of my enjoyment of the evening because, you know, it completely killed my drinking buzz. I mean, we still went to the fursuit dance and had a laugh, a dance around. If you've ever seen me dancing, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, there's fire alarms, just an absolute nightmare of things, because it just ruined everything. And especially in this case, because it was just someone messing around. It was a real shame that happened. But for me, it'd be a horror story. I mean, thankfully, I wasn't like desuiting or doing something else. Someone would be in the swimming pool. But yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, fire alarms are definitely on my list of fursuit, furry convention horror stories. What place would make a good fursuit photo? The hallway, maybe some nice bins. How about a nice park area with a fountain, a lake? It sounds great, doesn't it? Until you realise there's ducks and geese everywhere. And what do ducks and geese bring? Crap. Lots and lots of crap. Yeah, we didn't realise this until we'd kind of walked out there with everyone and a couple of the photographers who, you know, said, oh, we'll take your photos here, it'll be really nice. And we looked down and, yeah, yeah, so there's nothing nicer than looking at your paws and seeing a nice big pile of fresh duck shit next to it. It's just, oh goody, this is going to go on my fursuit, isn't it? Now, fortunately, my fursuit is grey, not white. Yeah, I know some people with white fursuits, and they didn't seem as worried as me, which is interesting. And in fact, a lot of people who went on it didn't even notice. But yeah, so I spent the rest of that photo shoot tiptoeing around, being absolutely paranoid about where I was standing, what I was touching, what I was leaning on, everything, because there really was crap everywhere. And it's just, just the idea of getting it on my fursuit. I mean, thankfully I managed to avoid it, but I mean, when it comes to like a horror story, I think the idea of just going out somewhere absolutely filled with all that stuff and just all over your fursuit, just the rest of the con, you're dragging shit everywhere. It's no. So yeah, don't recommend that one. So there we go. I imagine you've got your own convention horror stories, so feel free to share them in the comments below. I'd love to see what you've got to say. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel, or why not check out my Patreon? I've got a link in the description below. I'd like to give a big shout out to Diesel Bear. He's a patron who just joined us at the $15 tier. Thank you for your support. It's a massive help to the channel. Otherwise, I will see everyone next time. Have a good one, everyone. Bye!